Mike Tyson was not just a champion, he was fear in human form. Before the first punch was thrown, opponents already looked beaten. The black trunks, the cold stare, the silent walk to the ring. Tyson did not enter like a boxer, he arrived like a storm. And once the bell rang, the destruction was usually quick, brutal, and unforgettable. There have been great heavyweights in every era, fighters with better records, longer reigns, or cleaner careers. But no one made the world feel what Mike Tyson made it feel. He turned boxing into an event people could not look away from. Every fight carried danger. Every second carried chaos. And that is why the world may see another champion, but it will never see another Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's rise was not normal. It was terrifyingly fast. While most heavyweights take years to build their name, yet Tyson exploded through the division like he had been sent to destroy it. He was young, undersized by heavyweight standards, and still somehow looked more dangerous than men far bigger than him. That was the shock of Tyson. He did not just beat opponents, he overwhelmed them with speed, head movement, and explosive power they were not prepared for. Then came the history. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion the sport had ever seen, and he did it with a style that felt violent, ruthless, and almost unreal. Every knockout made the legend bigger. Every performance made the fear grow. He was not being built into a star. He was becoming a phenomenon the boxing world could barely control. What truly made Mike Tyson different was not just his power. It was the way that power arrived. Most heavyweights were dangerous because of their size. Tyson was dangerous because he moved like a smaller man and hit like something far bigger. His style was built on constant pressure, sharp angles, and violent precision. He slipped punches with quick head movement, stepped inside before opponents could reset, and then unleashed combinations that came too fast and too hard to survive. By the time many fighters realized what was happening, the fight was already leaving them. That is what made Tyson so terrifying at his peak. He was not a one-punch puncher waiting for a lucky opening. He was a trained destroyer. Every movement had purpose. Every attack was designed to break balance, confidence, and resistance at the same time. And then there was the speed. Heavyweights were not supposed to move like that. They were not supposed to explode forward with that kind of timing and control. Tyson made elite professionals look frozen, confused, and helpless. He was not just knocking men out, he was erasing them before they could even settle into the fight. What separated Mike Tyson from almost every other fighter was the fear he created before the first bell ever rang. Long before he threw a punch, Tyson had already taken control of the fight. The stare was cold. The face never changed. The black trunks, no socks, no wasted movement. Everything about him felt stripped down, serious, and dangerous. There was no showmanship, no smile, no attempt to entertain. He looked like a man coming to do damage, and opponents could feel it. That psychological pressure mattered. In boxing, hesitation can destroy you. And Tyson made men hesitate. Yet some fighters came into the ring already thinking about survival instead of victory. That is a massive difference at the highest level. Against Tyson, even 1 second of doubt could end everything. You could see it in the body language. Opponents looked tense, cautious, uncertain. Meanwhile, Tyson looked locked in, like he had already accepted the violence of what was coming. That energy spread through the arena. Fans felt it. Commentators felt it. Even before the action started, there was a sense that something brutal was about to happen. And that is why Tyson was more than a champion. He was a psychological weapon. He didn't just fight the man in front of him. He invaded his mind first. Mike Tyson did not come from comfort, stability, or peace. He came from pain, and in many ways he fought like a man carrying all of it into the ring. Yet his childhood was shaped by violence, poverty, anger, and survival. For most people, those conditions break confidence and direction. For Tyson, they created something explosive. He was not learning to fight as a hobby or as a path to fame. He was fighting because, deep down, combat made sense in a world that had already shown him how cruel life could be. Then came Cus D'Amato, the man who saw beyond the rage. Cus did not just teach Tyson how to punch. He gave structure to chaos. He took that raw aggression and turned it into discipline, timing, and belief. Under Cus, Tyson became more than a troubled kid with power. He became a weapon with purpose. That is a huge reason the world may never see another Tyson. Fighters can copy technique. They can study old footage. They can train for speed and power. But they cannot recreate the exact life that shaped him. The pain, the mentor, the hunger, the emotional fire. Mike Tyson was not built in a normal way. He was forged through hardship, then sharpened into one of the most frightening fighters the sport has ever seen. The biggest reason the world may never see another Mike Tyson is simple. Boxing itself has changed. In Tyson's era, greatness could still feel raw, dangerous, and unpredictable. Fighters were developed faster, tested harder, and thrown into real danger much earlier. Today, boxing is more controlled. Careers are managed carefully. Undefeated records are protected. Promoters think about branding, social media, sponsorships, and long-term business before pure destruction inside the ring. That does not mean modern fighters are not talented. Many are brilliant. But the environment is different. The sport no longer creates the same kind of fear Tyson created. A fighter like him was not just winning. He was becoming a global symbol of menace. Every knockout added to the myth. Every ring walk felt like a warning. In today's world, that kind of aura is harder to build. Fighters are constantly visible, constantly explained, constantly marketed. Mystery disappears. And Tyson needed mystery. He needed that feeling that nobody fully understood what would happen once the bell rang. That is why Mike Tyson feels impossible to replace. He was the perfect storm of talent, timing, fear, and an era that allowed a monster to become a legend. Mike Tyson's legacy became bigger than titles, records, or even the fights themselves. What people remember most is not just what he achieved. It is what he made the world feel. There have been champions with longer reigns. There have been fighters with cleaner records, better discipline, and more complete careers. But Tyson created something rarer than statistics: presence. The moment his name was mentioned, people reacted. Some remembered the knockouts. Some remembered the fear. Others remembered the electricity he brought to boxing when he was at his peak. Very few athletes in any sport have ever owned that kind of attention. That is why Tyson never faded into history like an ordinary champion. He became something larger, a symbol of power, danger, and raw intensity. Even people who never watched full boxing matches know who Mike Tyson is. His image, voice, aura, and story became part of popular culture around the world. And maybe that is the clearest proof of all. Mike Tyson was not remembered only because he won. He was remembered because he felt unforgettable. And that is exactly why the world will never see another Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was never just a boxer. He was a moment in time that felt too powerful, too violent, and too unforgettable to happen twice. He arrived with a style the heavyweight division could barely handle, a presence opponents could barely process, and a story that made him feel more like a force of nature than an athlete. At his best, Tyson was not simply beating men. He was overwhelming them physically, mentally, and emotionally. That kind of impact is rare in any era. In boxing, it may be once in a lifetime, and that is why his name still carries so much weight. Not because he was perfect, not because his career had no flaws, but because even with all the chaos, the losses, and the controversy, the image of prime Mike Tyson remains untouched, fast, furious, frightening, different. Boxing will always produce champions. It will always produce punchers, stars, and legends. But another Mike Tyson would require the same pain, the same hunger, the same trainer, the same era, and the same terrifying magic. That combination cannot simply be trained into existence. Some fighters become champions. Some become icons. Mike Tyson became a feeling the world still remembers. And that is why the world will never see another Mike Tyson.